Hey friends, it's Gloria and welcome back to another video. As you can already tell by the title, today I'm going to be doing a book tag and this is going to be the DNF tag. I was tagged by the lovely, beautiful Minutia a while back now, so sorry it's taken me a bit. But today we're going to be talking about DNFs. In the booktube world, that means books that we did not finish. Books that I mark as abandoned on Goodreads. It seems like a bit of a harsh word, but I just followed what my friend said. But I abandoned these books for various reasons and don't really want to pick them up again. So that's the theme of the video and let's get into the questions. Number one is, do you DNF? Yes, I do. Otherwise I think it'd be hard to do this tag. But I had a very strong policy about not DNFing books. I really wanted to finish a book always, no matter what, if I liked it or didn't like it. But really since starting BookTube, it is very healthy to not finish a book, especially if you are not enjoying it. I've now learned what my cues are, signs are that I'm not enjoying the book, to stop it and to put it down, because there's so many books to read, such limited time to read them. Why would I force myself through a book that's really just not going well? Not that I don't think you don't learn something from books you don't like, but there's a book that you don't like versus you're hating the whole experience and you just want to be done. So that's where I draw the line. Question two is, if you do DNF, does it count towards books read for the month? No, in my stats, it does not. I believe in Goodreads, it doesn't, because I put it in a separate exclusive shelf called Abandoned. And in Storygraph, which I also use, it does not count towards books read. And then in my own personal spreadsheet, I just mark them as DNF and they're separate. Question three, is there a difference between DNF and just putting it down for a bit? Yes, there is. To me, DNF is very final. I'm not interested in this book, I put it down, I never want to pick this up again, I'm gonna forget about it, get rid of it, versus putting it down for a bit is a big difference. I read a lot of nonfiction that takes me a long time to read. So sometimes I'll start it and I'll put it down for a couple months and then I'll pick it back up again and then I'll stop it. So that happens all the time, and I think putting a book down just because you're not in the mood for it at the moment or something's going on in your life, that's fine. You can totally pick that book up again. But for me, DNF is like a hard stop, at least in my mind. Question four is, what is a popular book that you have DNF'd? I would say probably the most popular book that I did not finish, and this was last year, is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I have a vlog where I was looking for a next 5-star read and really thought that this one had potential, and I explained why I did not like it for very obvious reasons. And in that vlog, apparently I spoiled the book. I don't think I do, but according to everyone else I did. So maybe only go watch that if you've already read Project Hail Mary. But yeah, I DNF'd it. I could not get past like 200 pages. I think I made it quite far and then I was like, no, can't do this anymore. So that one is probably the most popular one and the most beloved one. I've not really heard anyone else say that they didn't like it, at least not enough to put it down. Question five is, what is a book that you wish you did DNF? And I actually have quite a few for that one. Number one that comes to mind though is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I read this one years ago. For whatever reason, I think it was just like an available audiobook on Libby or something, and I was like, sure. This is about a bird? I don't know. I literally knew nothing about it. And it was a long audiobook. Like, I want to say 30 hours or something, because it's a big book. And I powered through it and I really did not like my whole experience. I ended up giving that book 2 stars, but that's because I really wasn't giving any books 1 stars those days. So if I were to make a whole thing about changing star ratings, I would make Goldfinch 1 star, because I truly hated that book. I don't know why I pushed myself through it. And then another kind of popular one that I don't know why I read is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I read Gone Girl years ago and I gave that book a high rating, but that's because at that point I had not read any other thrillers in my life. So I was like, wow, this is fun, new, and exciting. In hindsight, I don't think I would like it as much, but I wanted to give another one of her books a try, and I think it was like while the series was coming out, and Sharp Objects, ugh, I hated it. I hated it. I really skimmed through the end a little bit, so I didn't like fully read every word for word at the very end, but I made it through and I really should have DNF'd. I hated that book so much. Ugh. Question number 6 is, do you ever reattempt to read a book that you did not finish, and has this ever been successful for you? No, I have never tried to pick up a book after I have claimed that I DNF'd it. The only one that I would potentially try to read again, I mentioned it earlier, and that is Project Hail Mary. I feel like I would maybe try that one more time, maybe as an audiobook instead of reading it. I heard the audiobook is great. Really what got me down for that one is the science of it. I feel like it was like times 100 from The Martian, and then the main storyline, which I don't want to give away, but it's set in space, so you could probably guess what the main space trope is that I really don't like to read about. It's in this main story, and so I was like, I don't want to read about this. Anyways, so that's the only book that I would potentially reattempt. Maybe. I'm not making any promises though. Question 7 is, what do you do with books that you do not finish? The majority of my reading, even though I own so many, is still from library books or Libby. I think I read about like 30% of the owned books, but I'm trying to get that number really high at the end of the year. So hopefully by the end of 2022, I will have read like 50-50. 50% of the books I own, 50% from the library. We'll see if that happens. But majority of the books are from the library. So if I don't finish them, I'll just give them back to the library. If I do own the book and I try reading it and I hate it and I do not finish it, then I just put it in little free libraries. That's how I get rid of all of my books. Even if I like them, a lot of my 3-star books go into little free libraries because I just don't want to keep them around. Question 8 is, do you choose more or less risky titles because of your stance on DNFing? That's an interesting question. I would say this year, even though I'm reading more than I ever have, I've also been reading a lot more average books. Nothing amazing. I'm really on the hunt for like some amazing standout 5-star blow me away books. Hoping to read a few of those this summer. We'll see if it happens. I don't know. I'm still the kind of reader that will pick up anything. If someone can convince me, if I get a recommendation from someone I trust, then I'll try it. There are genres that I gravitate towards, and then there are genres that I avoid. And I avoid them for the reasons of wanting to read a book that I know I'm gonna love, but that's not like a hard rule for me. I'll be willing to try anything. I think the biggest genre that I have the most potential to not finish is actually literary fiction, because there's just some main themes in literary fiction, or the way literary fiction is written, that really rubs me the wrong way, or just stuff that I don't want to read. Usually that has to do with quite vulgar exploration of sex, and I just don't like to sit in that. It just makes me uncomfortable. I don't avoid sex in books at all costs, but that, for some reason, literary fiction just, I'm like, oh, just makes me feel icky. And so for that reason, if a book is like literary fiction, coming of age, I'm like, nope, I'm gonna steer clear, because I know it's gonna include that kind of stuff. I made a anti-TBR tag video a while ago, and I think for the most part those still hold true, and I avoid certain genres or certain topics or certain buzzwords because I know I don't like those things. So why would I pick up a book if that's like the main central point? And that is it. The last thing to do is tag some people, but I'm not gonna tag anyone because this one's been around for a while. So if you feel like answering these questions, please do so down below. Or if you have a BookTube channel and want to make it, consider yourself tagged. Thank you for tuning in today, and I will see you guys in more book videos soon. Bye.